Hey guys, and welcome back. It's Lori with Simple Suburban Homestead. So I wanted to take a few minutes today and talk to you all about the pros and cons and the health benefits to quail eggs and chicken eggs. So the whole purpose for my channel is to let people know that you don't have to live on a big piece of property to be able to be sustainable with eggs and meat as long as your city ordinance allows it. I live in Florida and I have chickens and I have quail and meat birds. Now, we are not allowed to have roosters and chickens because of the crowing and living in a neighborhood, but we are allowed to have quail. So they fall under a whole different, they fall under a game bird, and so that is allowable. And the meat birds never get old enough to crow because we butcher them about 7-8 weeks. So the roosters that we get in game birds or in the meat birds, they never even crow. So some of the pros and cons, I've written down some information I want to share with y'all. So quail do not need space. Quail live in pens. You can use an aviary setting, which I have used. However, I found that my quail lay more eggs when they're in cages. Chickens, they need freedom. They need more space to roost. Quails don't roost. I only raised Coturnix quail. I've never done bob white. If you're interested in quail, look at the different types of quail and go from there. Coturnix quail reach full maturity between 6 and 8 weeks old, where chickens reach maturity for egg laying at around 22 to 24 weeks, depending on your bird. I was closer to 24 weeks with my hens. So quail, you get egg production much quicker. Quail are ready to be processed at about 8 weeks old. So if you want to grow out rooster chickens to process, they're going to be in the 20 weeks old or more, I would think, before they were ready to be processed. Chickens lay eggs about every 24 to 28 hours, whereas a quail lays eggs every 12 hours or 12 to 24. Sometimes you might get, if you don't collect your eggs for a 24-hour time, you'll end up with double the eggs. Quail also lay, on the average, about 300 eggs a year, which is absolutely amazing. Much more than the chickens lay in my experience and from the research that I've done. Let's see. Light is very important. As you all know, if you're just getting into this, chickens are going to have an off season, which is fine. They're not going to lay as much. They might molt during the season. Usually it's in more of the winter months, whereas quail need the light. In the summer months and the spring, it's wonderful. You have plenty of light. In the winter months, when it gets dark, your egg production will go down. It's as simple as adding a light to your quail. Quail only need light for about 14 to 16 hours a day. So it's very doable when they've been in the aviary or when they've been in my pens in the aviary. We have just put a spotlight on the ground and we plug it in right before dark and we turn it off when we go to bed at night. And I never lose egg production doing it that way. If they're in my garage, I leave a little light above their pen on until bedtime, and I don't have any decrease in my egg production. In the garage, it's a little warmer in the winter. They're not scared by predators. So my egg production stays pretty regular with my quail. Quail eggs have more nutritional content than chicken eggs. And I'll come back to that as well. With their size, you can house more quail than you can chickens. And quail don't molt like chickens. They molt out in the beginning when they're losing their feathers as chicks, and by 4 weeks old, they're fully feathered. They're ready to conquer cold temperatures. They molt about once a year, but they don't diminish in their egg production from what my quail have done. With chickens, when they molt, they're cranky, they don't feel good, and they don't lay as many eggs. So let's talk a little bit about quail meat. So a quail's meat has 4 times more vitamin C than chickens, 3 times more iron, and even 4% more iron than beef sirloin. Quail meat has vitamin A, or chicken meat has none. Quail meat is significantly higher in amino acids and minerals than chicken meat. Their eggs are considered to be a superfood, one of the most nutritious foods that are sold in a supermarket. Quail eggs are packed full of vitamins and nutrition. They are low in calories and they're super filling. They're 15 calories per egg. They're an excellent source of healthy fats, even over the fats in a chicken egg, and they're higher in protein than chicken eggs. They're double in iron and riboflavin, and they have 1/3 more B12 than chicken egg, vitamin B12. Quail eggs are higher. They have a higher yolk to white ratio, and this is why I prefer them over a chicken egg. I don't like a lot of the egg whites, and so to me they're very balanced when I scramble them or when I fry them or when I boil them. So that's one of the things I prefer a quail egg over a chicken egg. The white is mostly protein, selenium, and riboflavin. These nutrients help our body break down food and turn it into energy. The selenium also helps our thyroid to function properly, and the B12 and iron promote a healthy nervous system. There's a lot more things we could talk about when it comes to quail and chickens. I'm not dissing my chickens. I love my chicken hens. I'm so thankful every day for my 3 eggs that I get, or 2 eggs depending on who's on their 28-hour cycle and when we collect. But the quail are just overall, we have found, especially living in a neighborhood, to be much more beneficial. I've said a number of times, if anything ever happened to my chickens, I don't know that I would do chickens again. Their run is much larger. They need more space to sleep. They need a place to roost, all the things that quail do not need. They take longer to mature and lay eggs. I can't have roosters. So if I hatch out chicks and I end up with roosters, then we've all become attached to them and we have to part with them. So overall, for us, we have found that quail is a much better alternative. They don't take as much room in the freezer. Our meat birds are huge, and depending on how many meat birds we process, we run out of space quickly. So you know, it's all things to think about. It's things that I like to teach about and to share with people when they're looking into being able to provide a little bit for their family. They're just, both birds are full of benefits. And of course, your eggs you get from your backyard, regardless if it's chicken or quail, are going to be healthier for you than eggs that are produced in big settings where you have many chickens confined to an area. Chickens that are producing eggs that sit in factories for 30 to 45 days before they're ever even sent to a grocery store. That's scary. I leave the bloom on my eggs, even if they're dirty. They go into the refrigerator and they're washed before they're used. The bloom helps, it's a natural barrier to the egg, and it helps keep them preserved longer. I live in Florida, so I don't like them on the countertop unless I'm going to incubate them. But you know, even that with my quail eggs, if my quail eggs have been in the refrigerator for 30 days and I do a water test on them, which I do if they're at the bottom of my basket, I do water test them, and many times they end up going out, or I feed them to, if they stand up but they don't float, I'll make them and I'll feed them to my chickens. If they float, they go down the garbage disposal, honestly. I don't even want to feed them to my chickens. Many would say they're probably fine. I don't want to chance it. So all food for thought. Good things. There's a lot of information on the internet about quail, about housing quail, about building pens, about keeping them in your garage, keeping them in an aviary setting. Um, there's just a lot of information out there. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. Thank you so much for listening to my videos. Share anything that I've posted that you think would be beneficial for other people to hear. I appreciate my subscribers. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed, and I'll be bringing more content as I can. I love what I do. I love my birds. I love breeding them. I love selling them. I love eating their eggs, providing for my family, and putting their meat in the freezer. So guys, I hope you found this to be informative, and hit the like button, and I will bring you more as soon as I can. Thank you again for tuning into my channel, and God bless.